Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
This is the Town Board of the Town of Lake Mills. This is our regular January meeting. It is January 12th. It says 17th at the top of our agenda, but it is the 12th, and it is 7 p.m. I'd like to call the meeting to order. The notice for this meeting was posted at the Town Hall and also on the town's website. Item 2 is the adoption of the agenda. Is there a motion to adopt the agenda as printed?
I make a motion to adopt the agenda.
Is there a second? I'll second that. Is there any discussion on the agenda? Hearing none. All supervisors in favor of approving the agenda as published, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, and the same sign for those opposed. Item 3 is approval of the minutes from our December 8th meeting. I would motion to approve the minutes of our December 8th, 2020 meeting.
I'll second the motion for discussion.
Any discussion?
Yeah, under 6 reports, Plan Commission, under the Schwarzy, says on the second sentence, one to recommended to the approval of variance, and one that added the condition that if rezone, that should be variance, that if the variance is not approved, the rezone cannot be approved. So those need to be flipped. And then on old business, item C, we got a work to begin on Crossman Road in spring, late next winter to early spring 2022. I don't know, I thought we were talking about early spring 2021.
Let's back up here.
I don't know if Dave, is Dave list on? Looks like he can't hear us. You want to check with him, Robin? Dave, can you hear us?
David, can you hear us? Dave Schrader.
No, I can't.
Well,
Can't hear us?
Jim, let's go over item C again.
I thought we were talking about to start bidding for the work at Crossman Road will be the spring of 2021. We were going to bid it. I thought we were going to try to do that project in 2021. This summer. I'm asking if Dave can verify that. I guess he can't hear us, so I don't know. What was your take on that hope?
Well, I'm not sure we're going to have the design work complete. And as we have,
I thought we had asked Corey that, and he said that they were working on it now. They had the survey work done, and they were starting to design it. So anyway,
I know they're working on it.
okay. Okay, leave it the way it is. It doesn't matter.
Well, we're going to discuss this a little more tonight, so we can go forward from there.
Okay.
You know, I guess we need to set up a timeline for that, so we can discuss that a little later.
Okay.
All right, there's a motion on the floor. All in favor of approving the minutes with the correction that we made? Robin, did you get that correction? All right. All in favor of approving the minutes as published with the correction for the meeting on December 8th, 2020, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And all opposed, the same sign. Thank you. Moving along, item 4, approval of the treasurer's report for January.
I'll make a motion to approve January's treasury report.
Second the motion.
All right, is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of approving the January 2021 Treasurers Report, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same sign. Thank you very much. Item 5, approval of the general funding vouching.
Make a motion to approve January's disbursements of $2,076,727.43.
I'll second that motion.
Thank you. Are there any questions or discussion on the vouching? Hearing none, all in favor of approving the general fund vouching, please say aye.
Aye.
And all opposed, the same sign. Item 6 on our agenda are the reports. First of all, we'll hear from the police chief. Chief Miller, your report.
So we had 48 hours of road patrol for the month of December. Handled a total of 3 complaints. Spent 3.5 hours on those complaints. Did a total of 26 traffic stops. Issued 5 repair notices. Issued 10 traffic warnings. Total of 19 traffic citations. Spent 14.5 hours running stationary radar. Issued 3 ordinance citations. Did a 10 business and residence checks. 17 park checks, and 3 extra patrols were monitored during the month of December. Other than that, not much to report.
Hope you're on mute.
I'm sorry. I said, thank you, Matt. I have had a couple of complaints about speeding on Court Lane with all the activity up there with the sledding hill. And I wondered if you could step up your patrol on speeds around our neighborhood. That would be helpful.
I will send it out to the guys tonight for extra patrol.
Just give them a little extra incentive to monitor these roads. Appreciate that. Anything else for the chief? Hearing nothing, we'll move on to the Planning Commission. Jim.
There's no report. We did not meet in January.
All right, thank you. Item C, Cambridge Fire and EMS report. Dave.
We met on December 22nd, and a lot of it's going to be covered later on in the agenda here, but basically a lot of the language is about the purchase of the Marion fire truck Squad 5 for the cost of $518,738. So we kind of looked at a bunch of different scenarios, and kind of the way it looks, the way we're going to go is the commission is going to borrow on a 7-year note from Badger Bank at 2.36 interest, and the annual payments would be $86,165. And we could save a little bit of money if it was purchased, or if the municipalities borrowed the money, but to make it a budget item, that's the way we decided to go. We also put in for a $100,000 grant to the Cambridge Foundation to help out, possibly. So no guarantees there, but we'll see where it goes. The fire truck takes about 10 to 11 months to build. So it looks like the chassis and the boxer would be in sometime in June. So then the commission would have to come up with $470,000. And then the rest would be, the payment would be on delivery. So yeah, I guess that's kind of the nuts and bolts.
All right, thank you, Dave. Thank you for attending those meetings. Item E, Public Works Report. I do know that John Reich, our Public Works representative on the city board, is going to take his laptop with him when he goes to Arizona. So he will be continuing to serve on that over the winter months. He usually gives us some update if there's something that we need to be involved in. On to item 7, applications filed. There seem to be none. Item 8, new business. Item A, discussion and or decision of the invoice for signage for the ATV club.
I got called by several people on the ATV club about this bill. First off, they were never told that they were going to be responsible for town's Jefferson County Highway survey. They were all new signs. It never came up in any discussions as to that they would be responsible to pay this bill. I don't think the town ever informed them that we were going to do this and charge them, so they had no warning. So they're objecting to it, and I guess I said I'd put it on the agenda to discuss it.
Thank you, Jim. I appreciate you putting it on the agenda. I'm wondering if we need to go back to that meeting and look over that video, because at that meeting I said all of these signs will need to be inventoried and be part of our sign program with the county. I did not know the dollar figure that was involved at that time, but that's what I intended to do, and that's what I ordered done by the county sign shop. I guess I stated that night. I said, if you're going to pass this ordinance, you're going to have to be responsible for the inventory. This is part of our sign inventory, and it will need to be maintained. Anybody else want to speak to this issue?
The only thing I agree with what Jim is saying too, because, you know, I don't remember the conversation, you know, of them having to pay for that other than the signs and putting them up. And talking with a couple of the guys in the ATV club, they're claiming that these signs only cost a hair over $300. So the cost of the inventory is much higher than what the cost of the signs are. The other thing that concerns me a little bit is their informational signs. It's not like a stop sign or a speed limit sign. It's just strictly, to me, an informational sign. So I don't know. It just seems like an awful lot of money.
I don't object to the town having them on our inventory. I mean, I think that's good to have them at Jefferson County, but the issue, you know, was that the club was going to put up the signs. They were going to pay for them and put them up and maintain them. And then I believe you asked for or hope you asked for a map, which they provided, a map. And I guess they felt that that was their inventory, was the map that they gave us. And, you know, we do have that. And then, so as far as the work that the county did, I guess if they go around and look at signs and there's one missing, I don't know what the policy would be, but I would guess they would notify the town, and we'd get in contact with the ATV club and have them replace the sign or something. I don't think the town's going to be replacing these signs. At least that's, I mean, the intent of, I mean, the ordinance specifically says it's the ATV club that provides and maintains them. So, but if you want to go back and look at that meeting and see if they were informed, I guess that's probably what we should do.
Yep, I agree.
We need to look at the policy that we have for signs. I think this sets a precedent. If you want to allow signs to be posted, informational or otherwise, how they're going to be recorded and how they're going to be maintained makes another whole step in being a highway commissioner. And I guess I'll have to remind you that I am the highway commissioner.
I know that.
I don't want to be heavy-handed about it, but this is now part of it. We sat around in October and looked at our budget, at all the things that we do for everybody else that we are not being compensated for, and here's another one. I think we should look back at the minutes and see what we have to look at. Not only the minutes, but the video of that meeting, and I believe that might have been June or July of this year, Robin? Let's look back at it and go forward.
Okay.
Item B, discussion and decision of special event permits for 2021. I added the slash and the Knickerbocker because I am serving on that committee. I don't know how you guys feel about this, but we on the Knickerbocker committee have been wringing our hands for the last 2 months trying to decide what we would like to do for Knickerbocker. And all along I have advocated, along with some of the sponsors of the lake events, that we not do those lake events because of the COVID rules would be really hard to pull together. Really hard to do registration for things like golf and softball on the ice without coming together. Really hard to play those games without coming together. We on the committee have decided that we are eliminating many of those games and the sponsorships this year, which were money makers for us. We are going to do sort of a placeholder event where we will have ice sculptures, and I believe we have up to 15 right now. We're going to do those in a distanced manner, hopefully, on our main street. Most of the lake events have been taken off, and I guess I've advocated for them not to apply for a permit. I guess you may have questions for me on that. I guess what I'd like to talk about tonight is how we go forward with the other main events that we have had and hosted in the past that are lake events. I'm sure that the door is going to be ringing with people asking us to sponsor or do more lake events. So let's have a discussion about that. And if you have questions for me about Knickerbocker, fire away.
Well,
I do want to add that I've had a lot of people contact me already about what we're going to do with these special events, especially not just lake issues, but our lake events, but also the road events for bikes and triathlons and such. So a decision would be very helpful.
well, I don't know. There's CDC guidelines, I guess, if we would put on those permits that they have to abide by the CDC guidelines. I guess I'm looking at the liability of the town. I'm sure we all are. I don't know if that gets us out of the liability by saying that or putting that on all the permits. Then the governor, I guess he just changed or he's going to soon change the restrictions again to outdoor gatherings to 50 people, I think. Thought I read that today. Instead of in an indoor, it's still to 10 people. So I don't know. I don't know if there's a way we could approve them and let it up to those groups to abide by the guidelines and things, and it's their responsibility. That's one way. The other way, I guess, is just flat out say no. So I have to add to that.
My thought is until the situation changes, I don't think we should promote any type of special event, I guess is my thought.
I respect that, David. Thank you. I feel the same way about the Knickerbocker event as it's on the horizon first. I had to respect the opinion of those people who sponsor those events, who stand to gain the most income, and those that also stand to gain the bad vibe of having another COVID outbreak afterwards. And so we've kind of discouraged that, and I think this is the right thing to do at this time. Matt, do you want to weigh in on this? How would you feel about 150 people playing softball on Rock Lake on the 6th of February?
I would not recommend it at all at this time. I mean, I'll deal with it if you guys do sponsor it. Obviously, we would have lake patrolmen out there, but I would not like to do that if I don't have to.
You know, and this was the opinion of Main Street too. Our committee decided that we would really rather protect Main Street and not have to accept the liability of that. And I feel that way about the township too. Would you guys like to make a motion going forward about the special events permits?
I'll make a motion that the town does not approve any special event permits for the foreseeable future until some big breakthrough happens with the health issues. Like everybody gets a shot or something like that. But whatever.
I'll second that.
I think that's a long ways off, though.
Yep.
Well, I think we should refine that and say not until a certain date. What do you think? Because we're going to have those people banging on our doors. What about July 7th? What about August 5th? Let's say September 1.
Okay.
That's a creative motion.
All right.
All right, I will second that motion. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of approving the motion to eliminate special events permits until September 1st, 2021? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion is passed. Next on the agenda is item C, discussion and decision of a financial planning with Baird for some future financial planning for the town hall and the Cambridge Fire Station. As you guys all know, we've been working with the Cambridge Fire Commission on trying to understand what they expect of us in the next few months as far as the referendum for the creation and building of the fire station, and also for the financial planning on how we might borrow to support this activity. The referendum is part of this, and I think we probably will be discussing that later in the agenda. But after I made contact, after we had our meeting with HSR, which is the architectural firm that we've been working with on the value of our town hall and our needs planning, I was asked to make contact with this guy from Baird. His name is Kevin Mullen. He works for R.W. Baird, and he sent this email to me. They have been providing assistance to Wisconsin municipalities since 1986, and along with Baird, we have served more than 180 Wisconsin towns and villages in the state, totaling more than $6.5 billion in funding over the last 10 years. Our core business is working with communities just like yours. Baird has created a financial planning tool to assist municipalities in the state of Wisconsin with their financial planning needs. We work with individual municipalities to combine historical financial information from the Department of Revenue with your budget information to build a comprehensive planning tool. Once built, this financial model can be used by the town administration and the board for forecasting and budgeting. I have attached examples and some screenshots of some villages that he has worked with. I also suggest that the town consider going through the process of an annual financial audit. Your community is almost $500 million in value and is starting to experience the capital demands of a larger community. An audit would provide many benefits to the community, including financial transparency, a baseline for planning, and an important formal record to ease transitions in management and leadership. An audit is needed to apply for larger loans and to access broader capital markets. There are many competent firms, and it goes on to name a few of those firms. Kevin was very helpful to me in helping me understand what process is going on in the Cambridge Fire District and how he is helping them. He also said that he has great familiarity working with HSR, the architectural firm we're looking towards. He also says that we need to up our game as far as financial planning and audit goes, so that we will be in a position to do some planning for the Cambridge Fire Station borrowing and for our new town hall. I don't think we need to make any action on this tonight, but I guess I'd like to discuss it and see how you guys feel about it. If we are going to go into the future and manage this budget that we have, we're going to need some help. I appreciate your comments.
I agree with you, Hope. And we also, like you had mentioned, have been working with Kevin with the Cambridge Fire Commission. So if you're going to put the debt load from the fire station EMS building and also the potential town hall someday, to put all that financially planning to the same person, I think that would be a benefit.
Dave, do you think that Kevin can ride two horses? Can he work for us? Can he work for the Cambridge Fire Commission and give us the best advice?
Yeah, I think he can, because we'll be intertwined just a little bit. So I think it's a perfect shoe.
What do you think, Jim?
Well, I think eventually we're gonna need it, I guess. My only question is, I mean, I understand the fire department's up front and center, but, you know, so we probably start with that and then look at the town hall at the bigger picture, but I don't know how much this is gonna cost, but I would take small steps first and see where we're at. Start with the fire station. I know it's all intertwined and connected, but I think the town hall's down the road a ways yet.
Yep. As far as cost, Jim, right now the fire commission's into Beard for about $6,000. Well, about $5,000. We had made a motion to not to exceed $6,000, but then it's like about $450 an hour they charge. So, yeah.
What is he specifically working on, Dave? What is he working on?
They have been helping us with the financial planning because that's what some of the other electors were requesting, that we had a financial advisor, and then they're also helping us kind of work through this whole referendum and putting together the estimated cost to each municipality. So that's kind of what they've been doing, along with the advice of the laws and rules.
I found Kevin to be very knowledgeable as far as the referendum goes. I don't know any of the financial facts. I just wondered what kind of documents he had prepared for you and if you felt you were getting a value for that.
I think we do and we will, because, you know, obviously this is just the ground floor, and as we negotiate ourselves through this whole process, I think, you know, they're going to be a good asset. They are expensive, I agree, but
Are they gonna, you said they're working to see what each municipality would be responsible for. So that's what we would be looking for, right? I mean, so they're going, Dave, they're going each individual based on the percentage and figuring out what it's going to cost them.
Correct, yeah.
So they're pretty much doing the same work that we would ask them to do for us individually.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I don't know, Jim, can you see this?
Yes, we have that.
Yeah, you have that, and that was done by those guys.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
And that was off a 2020 evaluation or equalized value.
Yeah. Well, I think that if we are going to move into a position, and I know you guys have objected to the idea that we individually as municipalities borrow for the Cambridge Fire Commission. I know you've objected to that. I think that in order to be able to do any of this borrowing, we're going to have to get our ducks in a row. And that's going to mean we're going to need to do some planning, and we're going to have to start to produce an audit. And that's just all there is to it if we're going to move into a situation where we're going to be borrowing for that or borrowing for anything else.
And the way it appears right now is the fire commission will, borrow the money from Badger Bank or some, lending institution for the construction. Then once it's converted from a construction to a mortgage, sort of, then that's when we know exactly what our share is going to be. And that's when it becomes individual municipalities to front that money. So that way you take all the draws out of it, instead of having to go back to all the municipalities.
Okay, well, that's the kind of stuff we need to have the information on so we can figure out if we can afford to do this. That's the kind of stuff we need to know.
Well,
I
can
guess,
we ask,
go ahead, Jim.
can we ask Baird for a proposal?
Yes.
I think that's the next step then, if that's the direction you want to go.
Okay.
So we know what we're talking about as far as dollars. I mean, maybe it's just going to be $450 an hour, but they got to be able to give us some kind of an estimate of the town
Exactly.
their size.
Exactly. I don't think this is a situation where we would send out an RFP. I don't know if there are any other financial institutions in the state that do this kind of public or municipal finance. But I think that because he's already working in Cambridge and he intimately knows the ins and outs of that, I think it's a good fit for us. So I can ask him for a proposal and some kind of a timeline on how we should be looking at this.
Okay.
All right, that's what I'll do, and we'll go forward from there. Thank you. Item D, and I know you have some comments on this, Jim. Item D is discussion and or decision of the boundary agreement review. Before I go to speak with Eric Larson, our attorney, on some of the issues that we have in front of us now, I guess whatever you have to say about boundaries, both of you, is really relevant to our discussion. So go ahead.
Well, I don't know. I was wondering, just the thought that if we would, I mean, I've already asked Steve Wilkie, hope you were there. He said that he was agreeable to redoing this for another 20 years. I guess that was the first hurdle. My second thought was, why don't we get the city to look at it and see if they want to make any changes or if it's good for them the way it is. Maybe they'll come with some changes, and then at that point we can go to the attorney. I'm thinking we let the city go look at it first and maybe save some money, and then have our attorney look at it.
Well, since they have an attorney on staff, that's a really good idea. And since they are the ones who really need to make the corrections in the language, that's probably really good forward thinking.
I don't know if you want to make contact with him or you want somebody else to do that, or get the ball rolling.
I think I'd like to make contact with Steve on that, because I'd like to follow up with him on the fire commission, because as far as I'm concerned, the ordinance that I gave him last fall at our fire meeting is still on the books in the city of Lake Mills. And that calls for a totally different fire commission, or totally different function of the fire commission than we have going right now. So let's talk to him in the new year and see where he's at with that.
All right, I don't know, you got this report too? It was in my basket up here. They paid us $23,000 in 2020 for the
Yes.
revenue sharing. Okay.
That's really the first time I've ever seen that document, though.
I think last year it was like 15,000, so it went up quite a bit. That's basically because of assessments and things, but.
Right, right. Dave, do you have anything to say about Lake Mills, City of Lake Mills, boundary agreement?
I don't know. I guess the biggest thing is they can annex without any. They can just do it. So I don't know. Is that fair? Is the their potential growth area is that right? I guess that agreement was wrote a long time ago. I know Peterson, he didn't really think too much of it, but I don't know exactly where he was coming from either.
The town planning committee had many discussions about the boundary agreement when we were faced with some decisions on Sandy Beach Road and some threats there of annexation. And their thought at that time was that the boundary that they had planned south of the city was exorbitant, and they were willing to object to that boundary south of the city along 89. So I think it's 20 years old. It's time we go back at it, and I think that's a good idea, Jim. It'll save us some time and grief on the other end if we allow them to make the comments first. All right, we'll move along. I would like to set up a Zoom meeting with Eric and have everything kind of ready to go over, including the ordinance revisions and the homeowners association topic that we talked about. I may be calling on you, Robin, to help us set up that Zoom meeting so that we can go over all these things. We'll need to have a pretty tight agenda so that we don't waste time. Okay, anybody else? Moving on, item 9, old business. A, discussion and decision on Rock Lake Road design/roadwork project. Let me give you an update on what I have done. I know that in 23, the grant that we have for Rock Lake Road is going to lapse. I made a phone call to the young man who is in charge of the local road assistance, which is LRIP program for the DOT. And I said to him, we had bid Rock Lake Road with the intention that we would do that work and do the design work ahead so that we would be ready to go when both the Newville Bridge and the Rock Lake Road Bridge were going to be under construction. And at that time, we were looking at a 2021 timeline. Well, that timeline has moved to 25. And so I pointed out to the LRIP program manager that because the state had made changes in its plans, could we make changes in our plans? Could we carry that money over in possibly until 25 or 26 until the state gets off its duff and does those 2 bridges? And I explained to him how they divide our township and how there were plans being made early on for farmers to make the transition during that year when that road would be closed. And I said it didn't make sense for us to close the road once and then have them close the road again. He saw my logic. He did say that he would get back to me. I have not heard from him. I talked with him the first week in January. I am hopeful that he will extend the length of that grant. I don't know how you guys feel about it, but seems like you're ready to go hot to trot right on to Crossman Road and put that $185,000 from Rock Lake Road into the hopper and say goodbye to it. I guess I'm not willing to do that quite yet. How do you feel about at least getting a design put together for the portion of Rock Lake Road from County Highway B to the bridge? Not so sure the state will be in favor of us not doing the whole thing. I think it's like 2 miles. What do you think about that?
I think it's good you approached them. So hopefully if they would extend it out to 2025, that buys us some time. But now, Hope, from the intersection of B to the bridge, you mentioned 2 miles. So are you talking all the way up to the Waterloo Township Town Line Road?
I think that's what the state is expecting of us. That's what we set out to do, and I think that's what they're going to expect of us in order to get that cost sharing. Shall we just sit on our hands until next month and see if the state will come back and support us into another fiscal biennium?
Yeah. I think
Wait.
that's best.
Wait
Yep.
and see what that entails and see if they will I will make contact with him if I don't hear from him so that we have that at our next meeting. I'm not saying that we shouldn't forsake this project, but I just hate to set that $185,000 free. I just have a hard time with it. We have a lot longer on Crossman Road. I think we have until 26 for Crossman Road. And I know that doesn't please anyone to drag that out, but here again, I think we're going to need some really tight financial planning so we don't run into the troubles we've had this year with the loans and the overlapping and the payments and all that stuff coming due. Just trying to do some really good planning here. Ready to move on? Item B, discussion and decision of the state trust fund loan refinancing for 2021 to a 3-year loan.
Okay, I kept this on there so we have a placeholder, and I apologize for the echoing. I have a request for an early payment so that we have a payment due this year.
I understand, Robin, you have put in a request to make a payment early this year. And what is the dollar amount you're suggesting that we make in this early payment, which I assume is due in March, correct?
It would be the $150,000.
Well, that's what it's earmarked for, right?
Right.
So if we pay that right away, we pay less interest, so. I think
Yep.
that's what we should do.
I agree. We collected it.
We have that money, and we also have the extra $90,000 that we borrowed. I don't know where, I don't want that to get lost. Okay. So what are you looking for, Robin? Or you want a motion on this?
You could make a motion approving doing the early payment.
All right.
I make a motion to approve the early payment in March.
I'll
I'll
second it.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of us supporting the early payment to the state trust fund loan in 21 by saying aye?
Aye.
All opposed, the same sign. Thank you. I think that's prudent. Item C, discussion or decision to discuss the development and future expansion of the Cambridge area fire and EMS station. I had in my packet, as I think you guys did, the wording from the referendum, which I've been seeking for weeks. I did a little research work on the referendum, and I've been talking with a few people that I know in Cambridge. It is my feeling that at this time, for very little expense, we should place this referendum on our docket for April of this year, since we're already having an election. we need to have the paperwork that we want to have and the wording we want to have on the referendum in front of the county clerk by the 26th of January to put it on the ballot the next day. When I spoke with her, she said that there would be very little cost to this since we're already doing an election. She would be charging us the amount of time within office in order to put that up, and she was quoting $200 to $300. I don't know how you feel about this, but I feel after reading and rereading the documents that it behooves each municipality to pass a referendum as it is written. I guess I'd like our attorney to look at it, but I think it behooves us to pass a referendum either in support of this or against it. And I guess I'd like this referendum to be non-binding. And I guess then it is a matter of us trying to educate the population of the town of Lake Mills about the 3% we share in the Cambridge Fire Commission. What are your thoughts, gentlemen?
You know, I hope it doesn't make any difference to me. Public pressure is pushing the town of Oakland to run a referendum, and villages have to run the referendum. So the referendum draft that you have is, we're trying to keep it consistent. So every single municipality doesn't have a different verbiage. So the only thing on the one that you have in front of you is, well, the municipality obviously is going to be a town like Mills. And then the not to exceed number would be $317,887. Otherwise, the rest of it is all correct. And I think we've been over this thing and over and over and over it. And I think this is about as simple and straightforward as you can put the language. And again, we're trying to keep it consistent. And by running the referendum, we do get a larger poll of what our electors are thinking. But at the end of the day, whether this passes or fails, then it still comes down to a board decision. We still have to have, it has to be passed by, first of all, it has to be brought up on the annual meeting because it will have to have electors' approval at that meeting. And then we then as a board would have to pass it by resolution if it's approved to purchase land and build this station. So I guess really you end up with both of them, but that's kind of the way it looks. I don't know if Kevin told you that same thing, but.
You're on mute, Hope.
I'm sorry. I think the paperwork that I discussed with Kevin did not include this referendum at all. We were just talking about the timing on it. And what I was referring to is, I believe in the instructions or in the agreement that we signed with the town of Christiana, that at that time there was in that language, that vote, that referendum that needed to be taken by each one of the municipalities. That's the way I read it.
Yeah, you are correct. According to the town of Christiana's attorney, that's what they had wrote into it. But now that statement can be ratified and, you know, be read in as by resolution also. So right now we're trying to kind of stick to what that IGA says. But again, it can be changed. It can be ratified.
What do you think, Jim?
I think, yeah, I think we should run the referendum. The only thing is, you have to put it in the language that people are going to understand of how much it's going to cost. This $317,800 some odd dollars, that doesn't mean too much to anybody They want to know what it's going to cost them on their tax bill. So, yeah, like Hope you said, we need to do some education, or somebody does, to let people know that it's going to be $4 per 100,000 value of the property or something like that. So somebody, I guess Baird would figure that out for us, or somebody would.
Yes, yes.
So we need to do that. We'd have to continually get that to the public somehow. I don't know. Usually school boards and stuff, they put out pamphlets and send them around mailers and things. So I don't know if that's something you're going to be doing too.
Right, yeah, Jim, we are doing a little bit of that, but then you run into the technicalities of the laws. So right now, the commission can purchase materials, but a volunteer has to stuff the envelopes and stuff like that. So there is, promotion, that has begun. But then I'm assuming once, the referendum goes to print, then that'll be stepped up, between now and April.
Dave, can you say again the not to exceed amount?
The not to exceed amount for the town of Lake Mills share would be $317,887. And I know there's been some concern about overruns and all that. And with Keller, they have, of course, obviously with today's environment, costs change quite a bit. Right now, it looks with the purchase of the land, with the remodel, and with the addition, the cost of that building with their 10% contingency fee would be around $6.2 million. So is make sure that we try to stay under that 5. So hopefully we can stay to that 6.2 so that there would be no overruns and there would be no surprises. So that's kind of why we put in the not to exceed number.
Okay. Well, what's your pleasure, gentlemen? I think if we're going to do this, we're going to need to make a decision tonight. I do think that the burden of education falls both on the commission, but it also falls upon our board to get out some pertinent information, and I guess we'll need to discuss that a little further. Start to think about how we would like to approach that. What do you think?
I'm totally up for it if we go to the resolution, and I believe that the county clerk just has to be notified that we're going to do it, and then I thought hope it was the 22nd of January we would have to have that information submitted, but you might be right. I'm not sure.
26, she told me last week. So
Okay.
we would have it long before that, because if we're going to make a move on it tonight, we'll pull that together.
Yep.
I'd make a motion to run the referendum April 6th election.
I'll second it.
And you agree with the fact that it's going to be non-binding and advisory, and you agree that this number that Dave has given us tonight is going to be not to exceed?
Correct.
Yes.
All right.
It's like it says right here.
All right. Any other discussion? Hearing none. All in favor of the non-binding advisory referendum question, please say aye.
All right.
And all opposed, the same sign.
So what do you want to do now, Hope? You want me to give Gene a call tomorrow and make sure that, there's not going to be changes to this, or we're going to, Jim, do the cost per thousand on our own as a promotion? Or what was your thought?
I think the town's gonna have to do it on their own, because if the commission does it, you guys aren't gonna do it individually for each town.
Yeah, and that's a problem, because we're trying to keep it simple and everybody is different. So,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, we'd have to do it. I mean, we have to maybe put it on the next month's agenda, that start drafting up some kind of a flyer,
Yeah.
something.
Okay.
All right. And you can help us, by telling Gene where we're at and what we're going to do.
Yep, I'll talk to him tomorrow.
You're the communication link there. And I guess we'll just go from there. I think
Okay.
that's the most prudent thing to do. And I think that's a good decision, gentlemen. Thank you.
Yep, it keeps it consistent with everybody else.
Did we vote?
No, we didn't vote. We're going to vote right now. All in favor of the binding advisory committee, please say aye.
All
Aye.
right.
And all opposed, the same sign. Before we go to board expense approval, I just wanted to say a couple of things. I would like to begin to prepare some bidding contracts for our lawn mowing services. And this is the year we're going to work on snow removal again. Our contract runs through the spring of '21. I'd like to get those documents put together and have you review them in February. And if not, look at them in February and then put them out for bid so that we can begin to make some decisions in March and April. Make sense?
Makes sense. I'm hoping, where is Cooper's Mill Lane or Cooperville Road that is on their invoice? Where is that?
It's the public access lot on Elm Point Road that is right next to Joe Cooper. It's between Joe Cooper and the Rowetter place.
Okay, all right.
Okay, it's like on the lake side, not the channel side. It's about a 70-foot easement. We have some small cedar fence sections down there, and both the neighbors kind of crowd in a little, but it is access. All right, item D, board expense approval sheet. This will be clunky tonight. Does anyone have expenses?
Nope.
All right, that won't be too hard. Robin, we'll yield the floor to you for correspondence.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right, so the Optimist Club sent a thank you letter for allowing them to use the town hall for their annual Adopt a Family program on December 19th. They were able to serve 37 families and 92 children this year. That was a 42% increase over last year. So the COVID is definitely showing in even the donations and the needs. I also got correspondence from Jefferson County Highway Department with a new balance for our road construction aid. And I can make copies of this for you guys. So we have a current credit of $6,795.92, if I'm reading this correctly. But I'll make copies of it for you. Let's see what else. Okay. I think that's about it. I did want to throw out there, we've got all of our nomination papers back for those who have filed on time. And Brian Benish is on here tonight too, because he did show some interest on being for the town board after seeing that nobody had filed papers for the chairperson position. So I don't know if Brian wants to state anything right now.
Yeah, I was planning on getting on the town board and getting papers filed this year, but I had some health issues. And so I was going to wait until the next go around. But now that I see that the chairperson spot is open, I was going to put my name in for that. And it's too late to file the papers. So what I was going to do is just file a thing for a write-in campaign, just to try and fill that open position. I've lived in Lake Mills for 5 years now, run my own business for 16 years. So I'm ready to step in and give back some to the community that we live in. And so that's just a little bit. And that's what I'm doing on here tonight, is hoping to get a little bit of information, a little bit of support and stuff like that for the write-in campaign. We appreciate what Hope has done for our community, but now that she's stepping down and not running, and there's an open position, I was going to step into that so that we have some continuity and it continues to grow.
Thank you, Brian.
Where do you live?
I live out on County Road S.
Okay.
Thank you, Brian.
Jim, I believe Brian lives right across the street from Robin. Is that correct?
Yes, sorry, I muted. Yes, that is correct.
Yep. I thought I'd seen you in your yard, so.
I am out there a lot.
As you can see, Brian, we have a lot of stuff going on here. I've been cleaning my files, straightening my files, working on my ordinance book, and I'm more than happy to work with you in a transition in the next few months. So you need to stay tuned. You need to stay tuned, and you need to learn as you go, because I certainly didn't come to this, neither did any of us, overnight.
Well, and that's exactly why I wanted to step in early, so I could work with you while you're still active. And I know after you leave the board, you'll still be around, but I would like to work with you while you're still doing this and pick up all that information.
I said this out loud to a couple people who have approached me about the town chair job, and I said, you know, I'm not going to be dead. I'm just going to be retired.
Understand.
And you know, public service is a thankless job, but I think we have some great rewards, and I've enjoyed it. So thank you for coming forward. Let's see, anything else tonight? Like I said, I'd really like to set up something with Corey, with you, Robin, and anyone else who would like to join us when we speak again with Eric Larson. I'd like to have a really tight agenda so that we don't waste anybody's time. There are several projects that I'd like to have him look at and pull forward for us. I think we need that. Lee, are you still on?
I am, Hope.
Do you want to give us an update on the Britsky Bridge case as long as you're here?
We got to move into closed session.
All right.
Everybody else has.
Oh, I see it's on the agenda. I didn't even notice that. Okay, all right. Moving on, we've got meetings scheduled. February 2nd is the Joint Rock Lake Committee. They've been meeting by Zoom at 6 o'clock. February 2nd will be the Planning Commission meeting at 7 p.m. They've still been meeting in person. Item C, February 9th is our next town board meeting at 7 p.m. And I'm assuming we will do that by Zoom unless there is some great COVID relief. I would then entertain a motion to adjourn.
No, you can't do that.
No.
You got to come back into open session after closed session and then adjourn.
All right.
I would like to.
Pardon?
Sorry, I would like to add too for the February town board meeting prior to that, because I think we're almost to the point where we're ready to do a public hearing on that driveway culvert ordinance. We may have that public hearing prior to the February 9th town board meeting.
All right. We need to have our attorney look at that first. That's something we got to get done. All right, then I would make a motion to go into closed session. Is there a second?
Second it.
Second. The only one that can be on now are the town board members and leave. So I don't know, Matt has to leave, Ron Remus has to leave.
Right, I was just going to say that we have to clarify who should be in the closed session.
It's the board and treasurer and clerk leave.
Ron, I'm going to have to kick you out.